All right, guys, so now that I think about it, I think the populist right is starting to form our own little squad, right? You got Lauren Boebert, who was shaking up the place when she wanted to carry on Capitol Hill. Obviously, it triggered a lot of liberals who are against the Second Amendment, and she's been getting caught up in a lot of drama lately, right? And then you have somebody like Madison Cawthorn, who's from my state, North Carolina, who's shaking things up by contesting the election. And you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's also a newcomer as well, that is also shaking things up. And specifically her, she is really trying to ruffle some feathers in Washington, as she has come out and said that she is going to introduce the articles of impeachment against Joe Biden the first full day he is in office. Even though this is really a gesture, I think that it sends a strong message about fighting back that needs to be sent to the Democrats. And I love this move from her, because this is kind of how you play politics. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. So let's take a look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and what she has to say about introducing the articles of impeachment in the House once Joe Biden takes over in office.
Congresswoman, I understand, though, you have something pressing, something important, and something new you'd like to share with everybody.
Yes, I would like to announce on behalf of the American people, we have to make sure that our leaders are held accountable. We cannot have a president of the United States that is willing to abuse the power of the office of the presidency and be easily bought off by foreign governments, foreign Chinese energy companies, Ukrainian energy companies. So on January 21st, I will be filing articles of impeachment on Joe Biden.
Wow. Articles of impeachment on Joe Biden on his first full day as president. I'm looking at Hunter Biden right now, so we're talking about Joe. Obviously, we know Hunter's got issues as well. How is that going to work? You are a freshman. You're in the minority. What will happen next? Is this symbolic, or can you really do something about this?
Well, like I said, I'm a big believer in having people in office that are actually willing to do the job. And I can't imagine people in this country being so fearful of a future of a Biden presidency that they may be willing to commit violence like they did in the Capitol here in Washington, D.C. We cannot have that. I do not condone that violence. The American people need hope. They need to know that there are Republicans in Congress that are willing to stand up and fight for them, regardless of being in a minority, regardless of having all odds against us, against me, or against anyone in Congress. We have to hold people accountable. Joe Biden is on record on the phone saying that he would withhold $1 billion of foreign aid if he didn't get his way with these deals with his son, Hunter. And there's an ongoing investigation with Hunter Biden's laptop into being bought and paid for by communist Chinese energy companies. This is a dangerous threat to our country when we have a man that will be holding the power of the presidency, but will so easily and is on record for abusing power.
All right, guys, there you have it. So Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene says that she's going to file the articles of impeachment against Joe Biden on his first full day in office, citing the Hunter Biden issue and Joe Biden's apparent bribing of Ukraine in exchange for them to stop investigating the company that Hunter Biden was on the board of. So, realistically, guys, I mean, obviously this is not going anywhere. And she kind of alluded to that by saying that, no matter how much, it's stacked against us, we're still going to push. We're still going to be fighting for you no matter how much we are in the minority. I 100% agree with that, right? I 100% agree with that, okay? So I'm glad that she's doing this. And the reason why I'm glad that she's doing it, because I think the message that it sends is that if the Democrats want to file the articles of impeachment, and they want to try to impeach President Trump off of inciting a riot, right? When literally in his speech, he said, march peacefully to the Capitol to make your voices heard. In the speech, he says, be peaceful. And they are impeaching him for inciting a riot, which, you know, his speech also probably is protected under the First Amendment. There's arguments to be made there. If they're going to play that type of game where you're just impeaching people for frivolous, like BS reasons, then they should play the same game back. And I think this especially would be helpful when these BLM protests start coming back up and people start rioting in the streets. And if Joe Biden doesn't say anything about it, he doesn't condemn these protests, what you should do is that they should file articles of impeachment. And you know why they should file articles of impeachment? Because silence is violence. According to the left. I'm not saying that. The left is saying that, okay? The left is saying that. So I can file articles of impeachment because Joe Biden is culpable for not saying anything, for not condemning it. And obviously, if he supports it, if he doesn't go out there and try to put the fire out, we filing articles of impeachment. Okay? Any type of protest or violence that happens from the left, we filing articles of impeachment. That's what I would start doing. Because this is frivolous. This is frivolous at this point. I mean, they're beating a dead horse. The president has been censored on the internet. Wall Street has pulled a rug from under him. I mean, the man probably can't even get a bank loan anymore. I mean, what more can they do to the president to continue to punish the man? And if you're going to continue to go forward with this and to push this forward because you're tugging at the heartstrings of Americans right now, you're playing on some of these weak Republicans, their emotions, that's all fine and good. You can do that to them. But to those that are sticking strong, that are just like, no, we're not going to take this tyranny from the Democrats with these BS allegations. Biden gets in office, it's game time. We file an impeachment on you. Every time. Anytime you slip up, you do something questionable, nope, impeachment. You know, it don't matter if it ain't going nowhere. It don't matter if the Democrats are going to go forward with it or not. I don't care. File the impeachment. Because these guys have condoned violence. And matter of fact, they have promoted violence. Maxine Waters, AOC, for the last 6-7 months straight. And now all of a sudden, after one, Capitol riot from the right, which again is a big deal, 100% condone it. It's a big deal. But, is it as big of a deal as all the collective BLM protests that have burned down cities across the country? Absolutely not. It's not the same thing. Again, still a big deal, but not as big as that. They've condoned that. And they've pushed it on. They've encouraged it. But nobody's talking about any consequences for them. Nobody's talking about impeaching them, making them lose their jobs, pulling them off of Twitter, off of Facebook, censoring them. Wall Street pulling the plug on them. Nobody's talking about that. But everybody's talking about, we need to pull the money from the GOP. We need to censor the GOP. We need to push conservatives into, a corner and keep them from mainstream society. Nah, that's not how this is going to go down. And when it comes to fighting back, we got to start doing some of the same tactics they're using right now. Start taking advantage of these BLM protests. If they don't condemn it, impeach. If you don't condemn it, we will impeach you because silence is violence. So, anyways, I think this move is, a good political move. I think at the very least it sends a message that if you guys are going to move forward with this and you guys are going to be frivolous, we can be just as frivolous as you guys can. From a freshman like her, Lauren Boebert, Madison Cawthorn, those guys, they're starting off with a bang, right? They're creating fireworks in Washington and doing the things that the constituents that voted for them want them to be doing. So, who knows, man? We may have our own little squad forming that is causing ruckus in Washington and disrupting the establishment. So, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.